Well, my pleasure. It's always nice to chat with you at this late hour. So.
Later for me than for you, my friend.
Yes, it is.
I got to tell you, I read your piece, Animal Rights Extremists Declare War, over the Thanksgiving break, and I knew we had to talk to you about this because this is amazing. There's a new website out called negotiationisover.com. And these are animal rights extremists who are basically saying it's time to go after trappers.
Yeah, I was astonished when I saw this, one of the forums that I subscribed to. A guy logged in and left this link, so I followed the link and found this and read what's on this website. And it'll grab your attention, believe me, and you're not going to stop until you're done reading. The headline on this thing, as you've seen, but maybe the listeners haven't, state-by-state directory of trappers. Neutralize them, and Friday really will be fur-free. And this was aimed at last Friday, what the retailers call Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And they have links here showing state-by-state where some of these fur trappers live. This is way beyond political discourse. To me, this looks like some kind of a threat or an attempt to provoke some of the real whack jobs out there in the animal rights movement to do something untoward to these people and maybe their families, or vandalize their homes. You've got an imagination, so use it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the quote. If we want to be a bit more strategic in our approach, let's focus on the source of the horror, the trappers. Thus far, this community of violent inbreds has remained largely below our radar. The time to change that is now. Therefore, we have compiled a state-by-state list of trappers so that each of us may focus on the problem in our own communities, eliminate them, and we liberate those who would have been their future victims.
Yeah, and you and I both know that this kind of rhetoric it's ramped up from the typical stuff. This is pretty disturbing, and that's the reason I did the column. I'm going to do a piece on it in Gun Week, and it's clearly to me what I guess you'd call it a clear and present danger. I don't know what else. How else to describe this thing?
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the somewhat related story in the Los Angeles Times. I think it was over the weekend as well. Interview with a medical researcher at UCLA who has been targeted by the animal rights activists, and he's got all kinds of security now. I don't believe he has a California concealed carry license because he does live in Los Angeles. But this guy, Professor David Jench, got a letter containing razor blades that were supposedly tainted with the HIV virus. He's had threats that his throat would be cut. These guys are wackos, Dave.
Well, they are, and it seems to me that at least the Animal Liberation Front and perhaps some of these other splinter groups, they're all domestic terrorists. The FBI considers them domestic terror groups, and the problem is that these guys are very splintered, as you said. There's no real formal organization. They just kind of come out of the woodwork when it's time to go vandalize a mink farm or burn down a university building like they did up here in Seattle, or do any number of things. It's a movement consisting of, your term, whack jobs, and I think as we get further along in this, they get a little wackier.
No, you're right. I mean, Professor Jench has had his car blown up by a car bomb. On Halloween, neighborhood trick-or-treaters were handed flyers with images of bloodied animal subjects and were told, if you go to the house down the street, there's a monster who lives there. Imagine them doing this, Dave. We've got the bear hunt coming up in New Jersey here in a few weeks. The last time that one was held, there were animal rights extremists who harassed and intimidated hunters. Imagine these guys following a hunter back to their house and deciding, all right, we're going to target this guy or this woman, and we're going to scare the bejeebers out of all of the neighbors so that this person doesn't feel welcome in their own home anymore. I mean, this is what they do.
Yeah, and I can't imagine why they get away with stuff like this. But time after time, and they do have First Amendment rights to protest. I don't think anybody's going to interfere with that. But this kind of activity, blowing up somebody's car, vandalizing their home, harassing their families, that crosses the line. That's not First Amendment anymore. That's a criminal act.
Absolutely. And as you say, you know, the FBI has identified groups like the Animal Liberation Front as domestic terror groups because these are the things that they do. They are trying to inflict terror into the hearts and minds of, again, anybody remotely associated with medical research or hunting or trapping or fishing. They want to see you so paralyzed with fear that you change your behavior so that they can win.
Well, it hasn't worked with me.
Somehow, I'm not surprised by that, Mr. Workman.
You know, I guess I'm just a heartbreaker. You know, what can I say? But when I see something like this, you know, the responsible thing to do for somebody in my profession is to write about it. And if they want attention, they got attention. But pretty soon they're going to start getting attention from law enforcement. This is really over the top. This website, this negotiation is over. That pretty much spells it out. They're done talking. They're going to start doing. And whether this involves, again, sending razor blades to someone or blowing their car up or burning down a house or vandalizing, you know, a mink farm or interfering with a legal hunt somewhere in the woods. These guys are trying to provoke a response. And this is one of those situations where I think you need to be careful what you ask for because you may get it.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, again, sir, I really appreciate your reporting on this story, and keep up the great work, my friend.
Well, it's very kind of you. I appreciate it, Cam, and you stay on top of this. I think we're both going to stay on top of this because one thing I guarantee you, stuff like this is the Full Employment Act for Dave and Cam.
Thank you, Dave. Have a great evening, sir. We'll talk to you again soon.
You too, sir.